Hey guys, welcome back to another movie review. As you can tell, I've got my headphones over there. I just got done watching all 4 hours, yes, all 4 hours of Zack Snyder's Justice League. Now, I know it's been a long time in the making. I think it's been about a good 3 years, ever since the original theatrical cut of Justice League hit theaters. And to talk about that theatrical cut real quick, I don't hate that version at all. I think that version's completely fine. It's not great. Obviously, there's a lot of issues with it. But for what it is and for what Whedon put together, it's not bad. It's really not that bad. So going into the Snyder cut, obviously with all the fan hype surrounding it, and um, obviously with the huge runtime that it has, I was wondering how much of a different story it was going to be, or if it was going to be the same story but longer. And well, it is certainly one of those two. And we're gonna get into it right now. Um, so going into the Snyder cut, or Zack Snyder's Justice League as it's called, I thought the night before either to watch the theatrical cut of Justice League again, or to watch Batman vs Superman again, because I was wondering whether or not I wanted to compare and contrast the Whedon's Justice League to Zack Snyder's Justice League, or if I wanted to actually see how um, how much Zack Snyder may or may not be improving as a filmmaker by watching Batman vs Superman to then watching his Justice League. So I decided to watch Batman vs Superman, and to give my quick thoughts about Batman vs Superman, I found the movie to be very inconsistent. I found that Snyder's big problem as a filmmaker is his consistency. Um, and I also found that the development of the characters was fairly weak, and the performances were questionable, particularly Jesse Eisenberg, who I thought was not good in that movie. And Henry Cavill was also a little bit questionable at times as Superman, but Ben Affleck was the saving grace of that film by far and away. He was a great Batman. Um, and there were some moments of fun there and there throughout, but now getting into Zack Snyder's Justice League, I watched it as it was intended to be watched, which was a 4 hour runtime. So I watched the whole way through, not how it was originally planned to be, which was a miniseries. I mean, it's literally there's part one, part two, part three. It was meant to be a miniseries originally, conceived to be a miniseries, but for some reason or another, Zack Snyder decided that a 4 hour runtime would be better to digest. And well, the first thing I'll say about Zack Snyder's Justice League is that the runtime is both a blessing and a curse. It does help with giving time for its story to tell from many points as possible, from like the Flash's viewpoint, from Cyborg's viewpoint, from Batman's viewpoint. They're able to give enough room to showcase these perspectives within that runtime. The curse with that runtime is that it drags by the third hour. And unfortunately, I found myself very disappointed with Zack Snyder's Justice League because a lot of the issues that I had with Batman vs Superman are spilled over here to Justice League, which we'll get into right now. So just right off the top, like I said, with the runtime, I think is a both a blessing and a curse in many aspects, but mainly it does begin to drag at that third hour. And the development is sorely lacking here. I mean, it is astonishing to me that with a 4 hour feature, Snyder still can't properly flesh out his characters and give us a reason to care. That is what amazes me most about this movie, is that he's given all the time in the world to showcase all these characters and give us some good development and some emotional attachment to all these characters. And somehow, some way, he is still not able to properly give us that. That's what amazes me the most about this movie. And as I had the biggest problem with Batman vs Superman is also the biggest problem with Zack Snyder's Justice League, which is consistency. This is a problem with Snyder in general, that he just doesn't know how to tell his stories satisfyingly. His previous DC films also bear the same issue. Like Man of Steel also has that issue, and like I said, Batman vs Superman has that same issue, where the story just goes all over the place, and it juggles too many characters and threads to where you ultimately are just tired and bored to a certain point. Like by the third hour, I would say I was finding myself a little bored and a little irritated because I also, one of the issues with this film is that it was marketed to be the Snyder's version, where it was apparently this whole new take, and it was like this brand new story. And in bare bones, it's the same story. I mean, it's really not anything different. It doesn't feel like it's a different story at all. It just feels like a longer version of Whedon's story. And I think that in many ways that is a benefit for Snyder as a filmmaker, but it is also a huge, huge issue for us. I think that it would have been better for it to be a miniseries. I was saying that for a long time, that I think that this should have been a miniseries because I think it would have been better to digest per episode versus having the whole thing come out at once. And I just don't think that it really panned out well, especially when you get to that third hour. The performances in general are fairly weak. Ray Fisher, I'm sorry, it just wasn't good. His expressions were almost rather lifeless, which is funny to say for a robot. Ezra Miller is strangely more awkward here than in Whedon's. If there are strengths to that version, Whedon's version, it's how they handled Barry Allen and Ezra's performance, because I think that they were able to handle Ezra a lot better in that version than here. Affleck is given one decent scene. I won't spoil what that scene is, but throughout you can clearly tell that he just doesn't want to be there. He's kind of tired at that point. And of course, knowing the production history, you can kind of understand why. Gal Gadot also looks tired most of the time throughout the film. Again, I believe Whedon handled her better, even though there are some questionable things that he did on set. I do think that in representation or presentation, I think that Gal Gadot was utilized better in Whedon's version. And Henry Cavill is still problematic for me. I think that he almost worked, admittedly, he almost worked for me, but still missed the mark as Superman. I don't think he is a great Superman in general, but that's just my personal thoughts on him in general. To be frank, after watching it all the way through, I could have done without this. It feels like an expansion in the wrong way, where it just feels like a longer and honestly drawn out version of what Whedon did. To be clear though, this is better than Whedon's, and easily Snyder's best effort at DC material. But that's not saying much. It constantly pulls from threads we've seen previously from Man of Steel, Batman vs. Superman, sorely lacks in development, which is crazy to say for a 4-hour feature, and has a huge problem in consistency. It jumps all over the place, and like we said, it just doesn't know how to juggle its story properly and satisfyingly. The problem with Zack Snyder's Justice League is Zack Snyder. He hasn't proven to be a great storyteller. And from the basis of him crafting a 4-hour feature with full creative control, and from the material I've seen of his alone, to be honest, I'm not sure if he ever will. And that's really painful for me to say, especially coming out of a 4-hour feature, because this was his chance to shine. And really, he's just the same.